Hey, welcome to another episode of Are You Spiritual? Or Are You Spiritual at Are You? Or Being
Being
Spirit
spiritual, yeah.
at Are You? Um, Good to be back 3 weeks in a row. I like it when we are consistent. That's great. Um, we're going to take a hiatus from the Christian nationalism discussion. We'll finish that up next week. And this week we'll look at the election. There was a big election here in New Jersey. So that elections seem to always stir up emotions in people, and I know in me, speak for myself, and it raises a lot of cultural concerns and dialogue, and you can kind of see too through where people vote and how they vote, kind of trends and where culture might be headed. So we wanted to talk about that and how it relates, at Rutgers and all that's going on campus. Um, so yeah, we had one of, 3 major elections. We're all in the Northeast, really, or Mid-Atlantic. We had Virginia, we had New Jersey, and New York City. So I got a lot of texts from friends outside of New Jersey. "Hey, big election tomorrow," or, "this week." So all eyes are on us. Here, you know?
Yep, yep.
Normally, we go, pretty straight blue, and so it's not people aren't really nervous, about it. But this year, so last election cycle we had kind of the Trump, um, a year ago we had Trump almost take New Jersey, and he swung his, there was counties that had never been red before that turned red, and he increased his vote in every county, across New Jersey.
Right.
And I know you and I, we had on here, we talked about that, the implications of that, and how it seemed like people were, you know distancing themselves from, non-white straight folks and the fears around that. And I think we're still there. I think there's still a lot of fear around that. I think my perception is a lot of the moderate white voters, straight white voters, are really voting selfishly. It shouldn't surprise us. I think, that their votes definitely swung blue this time. If you look, even
Mhm.
anecdotally, me talking with folks I know here in town that I know voted Trump a year ago, voted straight blue this year and told me they would because he's taken money from their pockets.
Right.
They feel like he hasn't, fulfilled his end of the bargain, and so they wanted to send a message. And I think I was surprised. I think he's heard the message. Now, whether or not Congress, at least the financial side of it, I don't think he's heard the message from a more, cultural side. But hearing some of the things he said, you know, he wants to, get on affordability. Although today he came out and lied about, groceries being down, which he seems to do a lot of.
Right. When was the last time he shopped in person anywhere?
I know,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah. He has no idea.
he
Uh,
said something about you have to show ID when you buy eggs at the store. You should have to show ID to vote. Number one, I had to show ID when I voted. I mean,
yeah,
and when was when was the last time he actually bought eggs? He doesn't know how much a dozen
yeah,
eggs cost, but you he said, why would you have to show ID at the
yeah. I've
store?
never shown my ID at the store or gas station.
If the
Um,
only time I think I would ever have done that is if I was trying to write a check, which I
yeah,
never write a check now. But once upon a time, you had to have like make sure your phone number was on the check, blah blah blah. But yeah, I mean, unless you're getting carded for alcohol, there's no. I
yeah,
mean, I cannot.
yeah. I can't.
Anyway,
I agree. But I think he heard the financial side of it. For those that voted against him for ICE, which is primarily me, and folks like us, he didn't hear that side of it at all. But he, you know it's interesting. He's kind of going against Congress because it looks like Congress is thinking Trump's wrong in that assessment. Um, and so I'm actually encouraged to see some division on the Republican side, which has been rare. Uh,
Yeah,
that's I think
absolutely.
been their positive and why they've been so successful is they've really united well around one message
Yep.
and now it seems like there's some fractures there, which is encouraging that
Right.
MAGA may be splintering. Um, so that's kind of my big picture overview of it. I don't know if you had any thoughts, Scott, on
But
your.
talking to students, um, there was a lot of concern Monday, well, before Monday, but Monday and the day of, saying, people on social media saying, get out and vote, please,
Mhm,
because the real fear that should Chiarelli win and the Trump agenda that he was espousing would roll back protections of LGBTQ people,
mm,
and who knows what else. And obviously, ICE would basically, take over the state. They're already here. They're already causing damage. But, with that sense of a mandate, who knows, what they would have done. They would have felt, they could do. Um, and, I looked at it county by county, and it's predictable. I mean, which parts of the state went blue, but some went like 75%,
well,
which is pretty high.
yeah, he lost Jack Chiaretti. He lost votes even in red counties that
Yeah.
Trump had. So
Yep.
definitely swung blue everywhere, and he
Yep.
got blown out. I mean, they were saying, um, it would be close and be tight uh,
Yep.
with 1 or 2 points, but it was like over 10 point win.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And some counties were well over 20
Yeah,
or 25% or 25 points. And
but he ran
yeah.
on that idea of rolling back LGBTQ
Yep.
right. Uh,
Yep. Which the Republican gubernatorial candidate in Virginia did as well. Um, Basically just had some really nasty things to say about trans people, and just to the point where, it's recent enough history that we've had sort of gay marriage and, things that have changed, that I think some younger people may not remember all of that, but it's easy for people to say, you know, 2012, Supreme Court basically, authorized, same-sex marriage. There have been a lot of protections coming forward, and the apocalypse that was supposed and was preached about, um, is only in some people's heads. The idea of same-sex marriage and the reality of same-sex marriage has not destroyed the infrastructure or the family unit in this country. Um, and I think people, especially younger, are realizing,
yeah,
there was scare tactics, and there still are.
yeah. It
But
it's
yeah.
a key identity marker for conservatives that
Right.
we are against gay marriage. And there's really there I mean, they claim that, it's biblical, but I think we might have an episode that talking about that.
Right.
But it's really has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with like this is an identity marker for being in our club.
Right.
And
Right.
there's a lot of those. And I guess that goes back to the first week we talked about Christian nationalism is that
Yep.
um, there's all these identity markers that they want to rally around. And so their politicians, go out there and they trumpet it. And
Yep.
you look at Jack, I mean, Obama did a great job of pointing out how Jack has flip-flopped over the years.
Right.
This is his third time, and he's been, a progressive Republican, a moderate Republican. Now he's an extreme conservative Republican,
Right.
Or I think the first year he ran as an independent or something like that. So
Yeah.
he's been all over the place, and he's just fallen in line because he thought that would, get him power, which
Right. Right.
is what
I
we
think
see with Christian nationalism. If you just fall in line, you can get power, right? So
that's their assumption, their hope,
yeah, their hope.
that
Yeah, yeah,
and even something as not simple, but something as symbolic as destroying the East Wing of the White House.
Mm,
There are people who said that made them want to go to the polls where they might not have before.
mm,
But people are recognizing that all is not well in DC. People have been out of work for over a month. A lot of people, ICE is getting paid, Congress is getting paid, but I know people who haven't been paid in over a month.
yeah.
And then SNAP benefits are, I mean, all these different pieces of elitist white power that basically you could play around with people's lives like they are little pieces, on a chessboard or something. You know, Trump has no idea what it's like to live like a working class existence, paycheck to paycheck. No idea. And people are saying things like, oh, all these illegal immigrants getting SNAP. That this is not. I mean, it's this their fever dream that it's somehow all these awful brown people.
Yeah.
They don't mean illegal immigrants from Europe, of course. They mean brown people who speak Spanish. That's mostly who they're talking about. That they're somehow destroying, and they're voting. That's the other thing is they keep saying
Yeah.
they're voting, and you cannot convince them. Sort of like the one argument that had to come back up. Somebody said, "Well, if it wasn't for cities, Democrats would never win anything."
Yeah.
And yeah, because
Uh,
that's where people live.
yeah.
That's where the population is.
Yeah.
And they show all this empty reds, or all this empty space in the state that turns red. Oh, look how much more land Trump has in their minds.
Yeah.
But that it's such a false
Well,
understanding of
they
of
completely
population.
buy yeah, they completely buy, like, bold-faced lies that are, like, easily,
Right.
explainable, this is a lie, like the SNAP benefits. Illegals are not getting SNAP
No.
benefits. They
Yeah.
can't.
They cannot.
And so, and they're not voting and all these things, but you can't convince them otherwise because
No.
Trump said it. Trump
Right.
that,
And
that
and his minions, all the commentators and all the people are saying. And not that we want to go down this path, but not necessarily right yet, but Mamdani winning in New York, believe me, I've heard people just foaming at the mouth that, well, one celebrity called him a jihadist.
oh, yeah. I've seen
And
lots of racist, yeah, stuff.
yeah, just this. And number one, he's South Indian. He's from India. He
Yeah.
is not Middle Eastern. But all these people talking about, the talking about all these scare tactics and things, and a person in my family, I shall not name, but said, well, now that New York is socialist, blah blah blah. And I don't know where to start with that,
Yeah.
because number one, he's not mayor yet. Number two, he can't rule like a dictator as much as Trump likes to do that. I mean, he has to work with the government.
Yeah, it's a democracy. It's
It's a democracy, and yes, he was sizable victory there as well,
yeah.
except for Staten Island. Not a surprise, but the people, if you listen to actually what he said, he wants to work on affordable housing for working people, not just people below the poverty line. But people cannot afford to live in New York anymore because of the out of control, outrageous rent prices, and how basically these billionaires, millionaires, whatever, have been running the city for so long that they have choked out any affordable housing for people. Like I said, even people who have full-time jobs
Yeah.
can't
Well,
afford to live in the city.
yeah. I mean, I got asked to plant a church there a number of years ago, and it was just at the time I had 3 kids. It was just impossible to find something that I could afford, and
Right.
they were even gonna pay me a little bit higher salary than I got paid in New Jersey, but it still wouldn't have worked.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I most people, I know a few people who live in Manhattan, but most people live in either one of the other boroughs or in New Jersey and commute
yeah.
because they just cannot afford to live there.
Well,
And just so many other things that are wrong there. But they're still using the scare tactic. Oh, it's socialism, as if that's supposed to scare people under the age of, say, 70.
Yeah.
or whatever.
Well,
Um,
that if social like a couple things, if socialism is providing people's basic needs to live, then I'm all for it, right? Like,
right,
and I think you look at the scriptures, the things that Mandami stood on is found in the Bible. Like Christian nationalists should be like, this is actually more biblical than our platform. Our platform
absolutely,
is all about power and
right,
whiteness and all these things. Where Mandani, he's not looking at the color of your skin. He's saying like working people should be able to afford to live. And I think
right.
that was the message that in all three big elections, Virginia, New York City, and New Jersey, was working people are pissed off and they
Yep.
want to, more affordable. And that big independent swing vote is probably the third party. I don't know if we'll ever get a third party, but
Yeah. Trying to organize them would be tricky, but
yeah,
yeah,
but whoever speaks to them the most is going to get their vote. And it's
yeah,
obviously a large group of people. And they care about working, being able to afford
right,
rent and groceries and
right,
and all of those things. And I'm one of them, and I you're one of them. We're blue collar,
right.
and so
It's
yeah, I I,
yeah,
I think that's where people are at, and they're angry. People are fearful because we've had we at the church here we've addressed some of the SNAP issues because we have a food pantry, so it was natural for us to step in, and we've had a overabundance. It's been great. Our community's been so generous,
mm,
and we've had a lot of people call like who are new, and they're fearful of their SNAP benefit running out, and so they just want to prepare. And I'm like, yeah, you should come get bags of food. Um, and so people are afraid.
mhm.
And it's sad to watch. And the government shut down, people are losing their jobs.
Yep,
It's not just the government workers that get laid off. The longer it goes, the more it affects other industries that are dependent upon
absolutely. The
all jobs.
domino effect. Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep.
So it's that part of it's frightening that Congress and even Trump to some degree are digging their feet in on all of this and not, addressing the real issues that Americans are facing.
Right.
Um, and then,
And a judge ordered Trump to
oh yeah,
restore, and he refused to do it.
yeah, he's supposed to do it today, but I haven't heard that he's done it.
And
So
you saw the debacle yesterday where they're talking about weight loss drugs,
uh,
and and apparently I didn't watch it, but there's a point where he is clearly napping
uh,
in behind the desk while people are talking. And like we said, if Joe Biden had done that, you would have seen that.
uh,
But meanwhile, you know, he can't stay awake. Anyway, I just
yeah, he is Joe Biden in a lot of ways. I mean, he has the same issues. It's
yeah,
just there's no Trump out there making fun of him, right?
right,
Except for
right,
Gavin Newsom, who
right. This,
is gaining some popularity,
yeah, no,
um, but for college students, I think there is real fear about the future. The job market. Um, you know, a desire to have a family, whether you're straight or gay.
yep,
All those things are there's a lot of fears. That's my sense as I'm on campus. Um, and so I think to kind of give a message here is like there is hope, you know, and I think we as Christian chaplains, our hope, is found in Christ, and I think we don't always see how Christ is going to provide a way.
mhm,
And many times it surprises us or is
right,
different than we might think. And I think that's what we have to hope in rather than like our plan. When you get to college, sometimes this is the plan, or you grow up in a culture, this is how it's supposed to be. And I think that probably is changing for a lot of folks. I mean, we're definitely in a cultural shift. And so for college students, that's difficult because it's not going to work the way it worked for your parents, and it's not going to work the way maybe you thought it was going to work going
right,
in.
Yeah.
but trusting that Christ does have a way,
Mhm. And I
whether
think the hope in my mind right now it are the people who showed up to
mm,
support whatever drove them to the polls. But the
yeah,
fact that think how desperately sad and vulnerable they would feel had the elections gone the other way. This would be a very scary time.
oh yeah,
And I think that it wasn't religious ideology, I think, that drove people to the polls to vote blue or whatever. It was a sense of humanity and a sense of a um, shared context and a shared we're in this together.
yeah,
Um, that should, I think, hopefully bring hope. It should bring hope to people to say whether or not people that you encounter are Christian or non-religious, whatever. Um, there's a shared humanity there, which is clear in the Gospels. It's
mm,
clear in the Beatitudes. It's clear when Jesus talks about human beings. He treated Samaritans and others as human beings. Instead of stereotype or whatever. That to me, as much as some people on the right hate that Jesus, they do not like the Jesus of the Beatitudes, woke Jesus. But it should tell everyone that in the end, the hope would be that we as human beings can see that
mm,
humanity and work toward justice for people in general instead of oligarchs.
yeah. Amen. That's a good word. I think. Yeah, as I talk to folks, I mean, my town here was highly Trump the last three elections, and this time they went blue. I was shocked, and
Yeah.
a lot of my conversations were around that. And I think the response we've seen to our food pantry and I connected it directly to SNAP ending, you know,
Yep.
and people stepped up, and I think people do care about their neighbors and the humanity.
Yep.
They're realizing they're realizing the cost it has taken on their neighbor to vote for MAGA and Trump.
And this is not what making America great again looks like.
No.
I'm sure in their minds. I don't know
No.
exactly what they're
You
hoping for, but this is not it.
I mean, when you see your neighbor lose their grandma to deportation, who's
Right.
lived with them for 30 years, right?
Because she's
I've
such
heard
a threat.
I've heard multiple stories of that. I actually firsthand, talked to a family who lost grandma, and people see and hear about that, and it's like, "What?" He said he was just going after the violent criminals, but he's taking
Right.
grandma,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
She's a definite threat. You can
Yeah.
tell. Yeah. It's just it's criminal, literally,
Yeah,
that how people are being treated. And yeah. And but I'm thinking hopefully this won't be just a blip. This will be a real changing of the tide, a changing of the way people see government. That either government is there to help promote the general welfare, which it says in the Declaration of Independence, um, or the preamble of the Constitution. Sorry, but promote the general welfare of people and not basically starve your population and refuse to give them paychecks and things that they're
yeah,
earning. Air traffic controllers are required to work even though they're not being paid.
yeah,
I mean, it's just criminal that
yeah,
it's the way people are being treated. And I'm thinking enough people are starting to notice that
yeah,
this is not equitable, and it certainly is not Christian.
yeah. That is a practical hope that we can see in this, I think. I think that was encouraging out of this, and I think also what's encouraging is I think it shows, where our culture is, that, in the mistake, maybe the Democrats made was not addressing, like, the working class people and their practical needs,
Yep.
and so I think those are some huge issues, like, as much as I love standing up for trans folks and giving them the same rights, maybe that shouldn't have been like first and foremost, and that was kind of an easy one to attack,
Mm,
the
yeah.
Republican Party. I mean, you hate to say it, like I said this at one of our meetings, like probably a black woman was the wrong candidate to put forward for where our culture is right now, even though I would love to see a black woman as president,
Right.
and I'd love to see
Well,
trans folks playing sports that they want to enjoy and play. Uh, but I think where our broad culture is I think they don't want grandma being deported. They want their neighbor to be provided for. I do believe they want equal rights of marriage. I hear that a lot from folks. Like, actually, a MAGA board member of mine, we were talking about it, that issue, and what if I, officiated a marriage of a gay man and a gay man, a gay couple or a lesbian couple or whatever. And he said, "You know what? You've convinced me. Like, I'm
mm,
fine. I'd be. It's not my preference, but I'd be fine with that. And I think everybody should have that right on, and before God and all those things." And so and he's 80. So like, I was encouraged by that, and I think a lot of people are there. So those three things, I think you can get behind. At least that's my observation over the
right.
last week. Uh,
And there's a year before the midterm elections, but who knows what will happen between now and then.
yeah, yeah.
But hopefully people won't lose this sense of solidarity with the vulnerable, with the poor, with immigrants, um, and with the people who, just by existing have become a target. And that's hopefully people will recognize when it's they yeah, people criticize identity politics, you shouldn't be doing identity politics, but in the end that's exactly what they're doing by attacking people
Oh yeah.
who have a particular identity. So it's just the opposite side of the coin, you know. And
I
yeah,
think
it's
I think if you address like the core issue everybody has, everybody wants to be accepted and loved, and then everybody needs shelter, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Or Maslow's. That I think is what you address. The little nuanced things like we can address as we go, but I think where Trump, I think, won was he did a better job of communicating to the masses. I'm going to address some of these things.
right,
We who knew him knew he was lying to
right,
them.
right.
Um, but
He had no interest in
I
that. He
think,
wanted to make money.
yeah, the more like Mamdani, you can tell he's a good example. Like you can tell he believes it. He's gonna do it. He's done it, right? Like he's been on the assembly. Like
Mhm.
he's been going to bat for immigrants. He's been going to like those are the folks that you want to get behind.
Right,
Uh, those that have done it, not just jumping on board with a charismatic leader.
right,
Um,
right.
uh, you get duped really
Yeah.
fast. Good stuff. I mean, a lot to think about, but yeah, I agree. The mid, what's going to change in a year?
Who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah.
who knows? I
I
mean, will
mean,
the government even be reopened by then? I have a, I have a feeling that's their strategy. I hate to say it, but it's just to close the government and claim that whatever they want to claim to get done what they want to get done. You know,
right. Yep.
he's
Somebody's
not.
still making a lot of money right now, and it's not most of us.
Yeah, he won't swear in that newly elected
Right.
congresswoman.
And meanwhile, they've sued. People have sued over this, and they're still stonewalling to say, well, they don't want to be forced to do anything.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, democracy has never been in so much peril ever,
yeah,
and it's really a serious threat from within.
yeah. All right, I think we said it.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Friendsgiving the 19th.
Yep, it's coming up on Wednesday the 19th, 5:30 ish. We'll probably be just partying and doing all kinds of stuff most of the night, but we'll probably start, putting out food and serving and eating and stuff, starting on 5:30 on the 19th, Wednesday the 19th.
Great. All right. We'll see you next time.
Okay.